So here we are. We're going to start. Sorry for a few minutes late. I'll just run it into that time. You know, I'll run a little bit over to make up for that lost time. My name is Martìn Rodrîguez. We're doing Sktchy live through Facebook Live. Thanks to Sktchy, and thanks to Lauren and Jordan, and for making all, you know, the people behind Sktchy to make it all possible. And thank you all other artists in the community for joining me. I appreciate your support, and let's get started. I'm going to turn on the muse. That's the muse I had. That's under Valerie Smith. Oops, there you go. And I guess it's one of her daughters or something, but here we go. I picked that picture because it has a lot of nice shadows and highlights playing with it, and it's just my style in particular that I look for. The materials I'm going to be using are provided by Jerry's Artorama. They're a great store. They're nearby. At least I have one here nearby, but I always go to them. They have a big selection. They're a very large store, and you can find anything and everything about art supplies there. Okay, these I'm going to use Wolf's Carbon pencils. There's 4 grades from B up to 6B. That's what I'm going to start sketching out with. I didn't have a preliminary drawing. I'm just going to kind of dive right into it, and like that you'll see how I normally start a drawing. Okay, so we'll take it from there. And I also have these sketching pencil sets, and then I was thinking of maybe this is a watercolor Winsor Newton to add on the wrap that she has on her head to give it a nice contrast of color. I usually like, if I'm going to do black and white, sometimes add in one color. Usually plays well with red or blues, but here I go. Just bear with me. If I bore you guys, just bear with me a little bit. I'm a little bit nervous. Usually start out with the B. It's the softest and the lightest of the 4 to kind of map out the shapes and the shadows. So usually I start directly with the I, and we'll take it from there. I have a tendency to draw bigger than what I normally have the paper in, so I'm just trying to kind of measure it like this. If you have any questions along the way, I have my assistant Vivi. She's my partner, and with everything, and she will be reading any questions you guys have, and I'll try to answer them as efficiently as possible. So here we go. So you guys can see the view there. I was trying to set up, but apparently from what I had, it looked fine. But forgot. I set this timer so I know. I'm going to set it at 50, so when I have 10 minutes left.
Marianne Glazer says hello. Marcia Hodges says hi. Sheila Randall, hello.
Hello to everybody.
Angelica Medina.
Welcome.
Karen Schwarf says hi. Laura Henry, nice timer.
Thank you. I like a skull theme. I usually have a collection of skulls and whatever I can get in them. Bookends, timers, or whatever. So normally this is, I'm trying to work obviously a bit faster than normal. I'm used to working very slow. I like to take my time. but I want to try to be productive as possible so you guys can see what I can get done. I can show myself what I can get done in an hour, but it's been a while.
Laura Sarah says hi. Pamela Robinson Thompson says hi.
Hello to everybody joining in. Thank you for joining in. I'm glad I'm up and running. I was biting my nails. So usually when I'm drawing in the eye, especially if they have light eyes, you have to kind of just be careful not to, only pretty much the pupils what's dark, and then she has like apparently a very blue eye, even though the picture's black and white. So you kind of leave that light to give the impression that that person has clear eyes. So if I'm quiet for a little bit, don't mind it unless you guys have some particular questions. I can go ahead and try to answer them. I'm just I like to focus what I'm drawing. I like to be precise. Even though I'm trying to be a little looser with this one because of the time constraints. But obviously I'll post the finished piece in Sktchy as soon as I get it done. Oh no, we have a visitor. This is my kitty cat Tiggy. He usually likes to join me. As long as he stays here out of the picture, he likes to, I don't know if he likes to watch or he just likes to take the heat from the lamps. Just kind of chills there. Great cat, he makes good company. This is a rescue we had recently. Well, not recently, we've had him already for about 8 months. Found him on the street. No. Sorry. Stay still. I also try not to erase too much. I mean, I just like to go straight into the drawing unless I see a big mistake or something that I need to fix critically. Maybe making the forehead a little bit high, and we just kind of fix that. So again, don't mind me, I'm just trying to focus. I'm a little quiet. I feel like I am, but if you guys have questions, leave these there to read them out to me, so any question I'll be willing to answer. Sharpen it a bit with that.
Oh, Katie Doherty Thompson. Hi, are you a self-taught artist or have you had formal training?
I'm sorry, what was her name?
Katie?
Katie? Okay, Katie. No, I've had some formal training. I've gone to, I took courses, and all throughout my life I've always liked art, and I've always been throughout high school and even elementary and all that. And I took, in a university, I took several levels of drawing and painting, and printmaking was kind of my specialty. It's kind of like a forgotten art. But anyhow, I didn't quite finish school completely on my formal training, so you know how life goes. Sometimes you get involved with doing other jobs, and basically it just became a matter of time and stuff before I pretty much do it. I don't do it for a living, but it's something that's always in me. I always love doing it. I'm never gonna give up on it as well either. Hope that answers your question somewhat.
Karen Schwarf?
Sharp, okay.
Sharp, I mean, maybe mispronouncing. What kind of paper is good for working with charcoal, do you think?
Charcoal, I prefer. There's a traditional paper to work with, but it's kind of on the thin side, the one that they make especially for charcoal. But I'm using particular carbon. Carbon's a bit smoother and more velvety, and it's not as dirty. And also, I forgot to mention the paper I'm using. It's a printmaking paper by Strathmore 400 series. And it's good because you can use mixed media on it. It holds watercolor pretty well as well. And the grain on it is not too rough, not too smooth, just right amount of grain. So I hope that answers your question. But I know there's special papers for charcoal in particular, but I don't really. I usually go for the thicker type of paper. Also, when I'm drawing, I kind of jump around certain areas. I feel when I get stuck in a particular area where I'm having a little trouble, I kind of jump somewhere else to kind of just keep it going, keep it flowing. So if you see me jump around, it's normal in the way I draw. Hope I'm doing okay on time. I feel like I'm taking forever on this one.
Susie Powell.
Susie, okay.
I just got here. Did you start with the eye?
Yes, I did. I just started out from the eye and work my way out. That's how I normally draw. Start out with the eye, and then everything else kind of just falls into place where I go into the eyebrow and then make the bridge of the nose, working down to the nostrils, and then kind of mapping out the hair and the shape of the overall head.
Martha Riley. The comments boxes are totally covering up his work. Can't see the picture he's making.
The comments box, okay. So on the bottom, if I pull up a little bit, can you see better like that?
No, I think she needs to do something on her phone. Susie says awesome, thank you.
The way I shade too, I do like a sort of messy, scribbly, wavy line. Then when I'm trying to finish the piece, I refine it a bit, make it smoother and more even. I usually avoid cross hatching. Honestly, I'm not very good at it. I don't have too much patience for that. And just kind of stuck with the scribbly way of drawing. Start drawing with a little bit of sometimes it gets too light. The next grade up would be a 2B.
Marianne Glazer, do you use blending stumps?
I do. At a later stage of the drawing, at this beginning stage, I just kind of, like I said, map out the shadows where they go, and then when I'm refining the drawing, I probably use a stump. Sometimes Q-tips work well, as I found that they work pretty well. Also, your ordinary Q-tip. Just trying to. Alright, so back on the face.
Marianne says thank you.
You're welcome. Also, when drawing out the nose, obviously the reference I would has very good shadows on it, so they're kind of easy to lay in there and look for them. Sometimes when the picture's not of great quality, it's even harder to get something decent out of it. But, I mean, it could be done, but it's just a little bit harder work. And I'm lefty, so I'm just trying to keep it on the view where you guys are seeing the drawing. I don't want to try to cover it up, but I do tend to put my hand away kind of on the upper part of the drawing. It's hard for me to work like this, but I tend to smudge a lot too because of that. So. Another thing when analyzing facial features on kids, I mean, kids I find in particular, for me, they're kind of difficult because of particular features, not what you're normally used to. So everything's kind of, for example here, the nose is kind of short. I might have made it too long, but that's something I can tweak later on. And the lip as well, just trying to see how they fall into place. You see the upper lip comes out, protrudes slightly more than the bottom lip. I'm trying to get that feature in, and then and if there's something off about it now at this point in drawing, at this stage of the drawing, it's okay. I mean, it's hard to get it to look exactly like the person unless it's really, you know, you take a lot of time on it, but you can always go back to it and fix up whatever you think is off. Trying to see where the chin ends and just the neck begins, so I kind of draw a line. See proportionally where it should fall. It should fall right around here. Also in the hair, you want to do the strands, but especially on her that seems to be very light blonde hair. Obviously there's parts that are dark where the shadow has heavy shadow, but on the light parts you want to draw the strands in, but make them light enough to where it gives the impression that it's blonde hair, not brunette. Just tweak something here. Try not to erase my phone. Didn't really like how the chin was looking. Seems to have a smaller chin. See, that's the thing with kids. You think you're getting the features okay, but then somehow you tend to elongate the features and make them look older than what they are in the picture, at least.
Gail Murray. My ginger cat always joins me when I paint too. Hello from Vancouver, Canada.
Hello, Gail. Nice to see you. You're all the way hanging out with us all the way from Vancouver. Yeah, our cats are great. I have this cat and there's another cat, but he's the older cat. He doesn't really come up and join me. This one likes to join me.
Beck Litchfield. I may not be pronouncing it correctly. Sorry about that. Beck Litchfield. Sorry I'm late.
No problem. Haven't missed much anyways, I think. Still at a very preliminary stage of the drawing, so. Now for the ear, today's tip was about the ears. So in her placement here, I'm trying to just line up where the top of the ear would be. And where the bottom would fall, somewhere around this part of the lip. That's about right. Now, don't always go with the proportions, because if your proportions are off, then you're trying to make it like the proportions on the reference photo. Sometimes they don't fall into place. Your best bet is to just focus on your drawing and see where it logically should fall anatomically correct, you know? Instead of getting frustrated and saying why don't they line up and why doesn't, you know, unless you're going to fix it completely, but. One of the nicest things about art and drawing is that the results surprise you. You don't sometimes whatever turns out, it turns out to be even better than you anticipated. So other times if you get frustrated and you're not liking how it comes out, normally I don't like to throw away my art, even if it's just a mediocre preliminary drawing, or I eventually go back to it and then see what I can do with it, or just put it in the back burner for a while. How are we doing on time? For darker areas, I use like a 6B. This area in here, it's hard to distinguish what's in there. It just looks like a lot of shadow from what I'm seeing, but just kind of make it like that. Distinguish where this ends as well. It should end somewhere around here. She has in the original reference photo. She seems to have a slight tilt of her head, slight tilt backwards. I don't think I captured that, but anyhow. You know, in detail drawing, sometimes you want to get, depends on how far you want to make the details. You might want to get every fold exactly how it is there and every highlight popping the way it shows in the picture. But what I find is sometimes you're using it as reference, but you end up making your own marks on it, and it's not exactly a copy of what's there. Remember, it's used as reference. It's just a matter of preference how people work. Trying to look at the outline of the way the back falls along the neckline. And a slight slope. This whole area I know is pretty much very black, so I'm going to start also, I wanted to use this, combine it with the black shadows once it gets very, put more shadow into it. This is a watercolor stick, Winsor & Newton. It's an Indian red. I like to experiment with reds. What I'm going to do is use it, some water. You put water with the brush on it afterwards, and it gives it a kind of a watercolor effect. I don't know how we are on time. I'm just trying to see.
44.
Okay, but I started a little bit late, so. Also, if I want to try to capture that texture on there, which is very interesting, I'd like to see if I can imitate that, but I'll have to see how that works. Don't worry, at this stage it looks a little like I'm kind of coloring it in. It looks like kind of a coloring book type of. But once you put the water on and start refining it and making it smooth, it looks nice. These lines I put in are just like to map out where the shadows kind of fall.
Daylene Montgomery. I'm loving the dirty faces.
Glad to hear that. Hope you're getting a lot out of it.
Susie Paul Powell. I have enjoyed the faces, but it is very hard to keep up.
You mean for the daily challenges?
Yes.
Yeah, it is that. That's why it's called a challenge. It is kind of difficult to produce a drawing every day. It's
Marian Glazer says, love the watercolor stick.
thank you. Yeah, it makes it, brings it to life, and it gives it, makes it vivid.
Daylene Montgomery. The thing that I think has helped me the most is we are all doing the same picture. So I can learn so much from other styles and approaches, etc.
Yeah, drawing from that helps because you see all the different versions of the same inspiration. It's interesting to see how everyone's interpretation is of the same image you're drawing. Anything bothering me about the nose? I think it protrudes a bit more. I'll fix that at a later time, but I'm just trying to.
Margarita Jacob says, I agree, Daylene. I love seeing the huge variety of solutions. Susie Paul Powell, seeing all of the other faces has been one of my favorites. Makes me see things differently, makes me want to experiment more.
In art, it's always true that, you know, when you see other artists working and you get inspired, you get ideas, it helps motivate you. Sorry for the moving of the camera. To inspire you, you know, to find what you like and what you don't like. And it's healthy to look at all the different styles and varieties and the media that people use, you know, whether it be just watercolor, pen and ink, drawing materials, or traditional pencil, or don't worry, this may be looking like a beard, but it's just a matter of me just putting in the shadowing. I'll refine it later and blend it in later. And once I get the main drawing down, I'm going to go into detail. This needs more of this too. How are we doing on time? I guess
10:56.
we're doing okay on time.
Marianne Glazer says, it is so amazing that I can draw from references that I would normally never attempt.
It's good that you built up the courage to go ahead and draw it. I mean, it's just a matter of kind of just fear of what people are going to think and what they'll critique about your work, but and sometimes you're your own worst critic, the artists themselves, about their own work. So, but hang in there, and obviously practicing and doing more is going to make you jump at getting really good.
Karen Schwarf, why do you think you like to work in charcoal?
Me, I like the charcoal. I like the dramatic blacks. It brings out the shadows, how black you can go, without getting that particular shine that usually in graphite, if you try to go very dark in pencil, you might get a certain shine, but it's hard to avoid that. But anyhow, that's why I like the charcoals, and they're kind of soft and smooth, and you can play with the shadows. a lot on different grades of shadow, like varying grades of gray. That's what I like, from black to black, all the way up to the white and the middle tones of the grays. Sometimes a particular reference will inspire a certain medium. Like I look at a reference that I have and it say this would be good in, let's say, watercolors, or it may look like a whimsical type of drawing and make it look, maybe draw it in pen and ink and make it look storybook-like, or something that calls for drama, dramatic, and you go with the charcoal.
Katie Daugherty Thompson. Will you color the rest of her face in? If you do, will you use the watercolor crayons?
No, because this particular drawing, what I wanted to experiment with is just the two tones of the colors. But I'm not gonna. I might add a little hint of red in the black, depending what turns out. What I'm mainly gonna do is the face and the hair, and the black, carbon, and the gray tones, and then maybe go ahead and if it, maybe a little red I can add in, we'll go ahead and do that. But I just wanted to play with the contrast of the wrap she's wearing on her head.
Thanks for joining us, and thank you again to Martìn Rodrîguez.
Yep, thank you again, and we're just wrapping up. I'm going to keep working on this. I'll post it very soon in Sktchy and through Facebook. And thank you all again for joining us, everyone who was there. And thanks again to Sktchy and Jerry's Artorama for making it all possible. And any other questions, available in Sktchy or Facebook, and you can go on and ask anything afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, looks great.
Signing out.
Margarita, thanks so much.